Live from the Export Beer Garden studio, this is the Agenda podcast for Thursday, the 4th of April.
The Agenda, an alternative commentary collective podcast.
Good morning, Lane.
Morning.
It is my least favourite season right now, and my least favourite season is Feijoa season. I fucking hate Feijoa season.
You are such a curmudgeon. You are such a curmudgeon. What? It is the greatest time of the year. It is when you can be gluttonous. It's only a 2-week window, for fuck's sake.
This is the problem. And then you don't eat Feijoas for the rest of the year. And then, but for whatever reason, it's like the fucking bluff oysters. There's only like a 2-week window. Is it because they just fruit when...
That's what's so great about it. No, the thing is they don't last off the tree. That's the problem.
Right.
You know, and they're like apples where they basically pick the apples and then keep them in cool conditions for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then sell them.
And everybody seems to think that they're the only person with a Feijoa tree. And every office around the North Island for these next couple of weeks will just have boxes and boxes of Feijoas that someone doesn't want, that they brought in thinking everyone else doesn't have their own Feijoa tree.
Look, my only bit of feedback, if you are going to bring Feijoas into the office, they need to be at least bigger than an egg.
Yeah.
You don't bring me those little fuckers, okay? Those the little kind of tiny dwarf ones, okay? If you're going to bring them in, you got to really, with a bit of BDC, bring in some good old chunky fatties, okay? Don't give us your wasty little ones.
No,
okay?
but no one does because they keep them for themselves. Then they bring in the shitty ones that they don't want, not realising that every other person in the upper North Island has a Feijoa tree. I think what it is they don't exist down in the South Island.
No.
Every time, I've said this a couple of times because it's pissed me off every time this season comes around. And then some wanker will text in from Nelson and being like, well, actually, we've got a Feijoa tree in our backyard. It's like, you're further north than Wellington. Fuck off, Nelson. But the other thing is that it wasn't until I was a fully formed man till I realised that Feijoas were even a thing. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, now it's Feijoa muffins and fucking bread and this and that. And it's just Feijoa overload. I also don't like sweet things, so.
Embrace it, Manaia. This is, you're pent up. This is what, you know, you got to let it go.
No, I don't. I don't. If I got on here with no emotions or opinions about anything, no one would listen.
Are you going to die on the Feijoa hill?
Yeah, fucking A. Yeah. Crucify me on a Feijoa tree. I'd happily die there. Put a sponge of vinegar up against my open wounds.
Here's a question
Put a crown of Feijoa thorns upon my head.
Here's a question for you then.
Yes.
You're in stocks, okay? You know the stocks, your head and your arms go through and it gets locked down.
Yeah.
How many Feijoas would it take before you succumbed and died? People throwing Feijoas at you.
Probably not many. Not as many as it would take tomatoes because they're fucking rock hard, those things. It would, I don't know.
I reckon maybe 1,000 before you got unconscious.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, you'd be doing well to knock me out with a Feijoa.
I don't know.
Even 1,000 of them.
Well, like what if your head's down, you got the soft spot at the top here.
It's low impact though because they wouldn't explode, the Feijoa.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can hit a Feijoa with a cricket bat and it won't explode.
Is that not harder though? Is that what causes you a bit more damage?
Oh yeah, it'd cause more damage, but it'd be way more boring to throw. Like if you're standing there, you're one of the gathered masses who, and this is completely unrelated to anything, apparently quite often would gain an erection while this was going on. Anyway, so you're standing there, full mongrel, and then you're throwing fruit at me. Would you opt for the Feijoa or would you go for the tomato? You'd probably go the tomato. It's a higher impact.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm in deep shit if a watermelon or a pumpkin shows up in the stock.
Are you saying that someone couldn't kill you with a Feijoa?
Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, if one more person brings another Feijoa into the office, I might kill myself. So
I can't wait. You know
I'm not the only person who feels this way.
Now I know this. I am going to come in early and I'm going to leave a ice cream container of undersized.
People already have. They just add them to the pile of fucking Feijoas next to my desk. It's like no one wants your Feijoas. You don't want them. You know what I mean? You don't think everyone else already has them? Anyway,
I never knew.
We've lost the entire South Island here.
Yeah.
They don't even know what a fucking Feijoa is. The T20 international squad has been named, and I have someone to call out. Michael Bracewell, dear friend of the podcast, beast. We talked to him last week before. He hit a hole in one the day after bowling 8 for 41. Not only his best ever figures, but his entire cricketing family's best ever figures. And we said good things come in threes. What will the third thing be? Is it going to be a threesome? No, it wasn't. He's just been named as the captain of the T20 squad to tour Pakistan.
And he revealed it was the third day. He said he got the 8-for, the hole in one, and he said the next day he got rung by Steady and asked if he would captain the team. We rang him the day after that.
Yes.
On day 4.
And said, what's the third good thing?
Yeah. And he fucking lied to us.
Beast, we thought we were mates, you know?
I know. I mean, I'm sure it was embargo till yesterday, but he could have said there's something actually pretty special.
Yeah, he could have just said, look, I know what it is, but I can't tell you.
Yeah.
And then we would have gone, threesome. Awesome. Congratulations.
Great. Yeah.
And then we would have been like, oh, actually, it turns out he's going to be the captain. I think this one shocked a lot of people, his captaincy for the T20 team. And when you look at it, I think that the average Kiwi punter probably couldn't get over 70%, 60% of the T20 squad if I showed them the faces. Like if we went the flashcard game.
Yeah.
We're talking Clarksons, Jacob Duffy, Dean Foxcroft, Ben Lister. Will O'Rourke made a name for himself earlier this summer, but I thought it was quite interesting.
Tim Robinson, you know him?
Tim Robinson. I only know him because every news outlet at the moment has him on their front page.
Yeah.
And they all describe him the same way. As like capable of powerful hitting or something. There's some real weird description. It's like,
well, he hit the most
say
sixes. He hit 15 sixes in the Super Smash, the most.
Yeah.
So he knows how to clear the ropes.
Deserves to be there. I dare say, like I was sort of likening this to, is this one of these tours that we have to do of Pakistan because we reneged on a tour a few years ago, or is this like a make good tour?
No, I don't think every tour of Pakistan is a make good.
I do.
We're still burnt by that when we ran away when someone threatened something,
which was fair.
Yeah. Well, no one's ever revealed what it was, have they?
No. Well, I don't know.
But I don't think so. I think this is part of the tours program. It is a T20 World Cup year.
Yes. So why aren't we sending our best T20 players?
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
it was like, it doesn't seem like we're taking it overly seriously sending. I'm not saying these are bad players, but they're fringe players. Your Foxcrofts, your Clarksons, your Robinsons.
Kyle McConchie.
Yeah. So
no disrespect to any of those players. My only point is, here's the team that we haven't picked. Devon Conway, Ravindra, Will Young, Kane Williamson, Tom Latham, Daryl Mitchell, Glenn Phillips, Mitch Santner, Trent Bolt, Tim Southey, Lockie Ferguson, and Matt Henry. That's a full 12-man playing squad that we haven't sent.
Yeah, that
would beat the team that we have sent.
That's quite compelling.
I kind of liken these guys, and I do think, because remember when they had the Pakistan team came and toured over here and COVID, and they flouted the rules. They were staying at the shitter on the park.
Yeah, Chateau on the park, which is not a shitter, by the way.
It's not a shitter at all. It is delightful. If you ever get the chance, go and stay at Chateau on the park opposite Hagley. I think they'll give you golf clubs to go and play the course there. Terrible course. I feel like when that happened, Shoaib Akhtar was threatening nuclear warfare against us for the disrespect. I think of this team as the New Zealand cricketing Avengers who have been sent over to the subcontinent to prevent a nuclear holocaust against our great nation of New Zealand. God bless these guys. Netflix, send a documentary crew over with them.
Are they like Armageddon? So at the airport, we need Liv Tyler to go, I'm leaving on a jet plane.
Yeah, get Bruce Willis in a spacesuit and send him over there.
Don't know when I'll be back again.
I like to think of the way that they named this team would have been like at the start of any of those movies like X-Men or whatever, where they go around and they round the crew up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know who, Josh Clarkson sitting at a bar somewhere and the Beast walks in. Everyone goes quiet, and he goes, hey, Josh, we need you for one last mission. And he goes, Beast, I'm out the game. And he goes, your country's at stake. He's, God damn it, I'm in. And then they just go around and just collect all these guys who turn their back on that lifestyle.
They go up and go, hey, Ben, Lister, Shoaib's got his finger on the button. He's about to annihilate the country unless we go over and play these 5 T20s.
Yeah. And the opening scene of the movie would be the Beast going 8 for 41. Then he hits a hole in one. Then he gets the call from Gary Stead.
It's up to you.
Here's the situation.
Assemble the team.
And he has to go home and tell his wife. And she said, you told me you'd left that life. And now all of a sudden the Beast's going to go around and whip up his team of Avengers to go and protect New Zealand.
When does that start?
I don't know.
When's that tour start? It must be pretty soon.
It can't be too far away because the World Cup starts in July, I believe.
Yep.
So that's not too far away. Are we South Africa-ing them the way South Africa'd us? Where they sent their C team?
No, because there's still players in there. There's still the Chapmans, Allens, Bracewell, Milnes, Neeshams, the Sidefit and Sodis, who are in the A team.
Yeah.
South Africa sent us 0.
Yeah.
They sent us absolutely no one.
They sent us a tradie.
A tradies 11.
Yeah. Shout out to the tradies 11.
Yeah.
You're right. I think the Jimmy Neesham's the big signal that we're not South Africa-ing them.
Yeah.
Because you don't send Jimmy Neesham unless you're you genuinely want to win this. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. It'll be a good series, actually. I think it'll be played at a god awful time, won't it?
Yeah. Well, interesting call though with Bracewell because he's been injured most of the year. So like he played. I mean, in terms of start of the season, he was out injured.
Achilles? Didn't he do his Achilles and then some sort of finger situation and then came back in blistering hot form?
Yeah.
So yeah. Go well over there, fellas. The fate of our nation depends on it.
That's right.
We're going to take a quick break to absolve ourselves from our sins. We'll be back to talk a bit of footy. The teams have been named for this weekend's Super Round Lane.
Yep.
I like that they're making this a little bit more of a thing because Teamless Tuesday in the NRL's become a bit of a thing. And that's off the back of fantasy leagues, Supercoach and Fantasy and Rugby League. So it's quite important who gets named in the teams. But Super Rugby's never really had a thing about this. The All Blacks does. But we don't really talk about the team naming for Super Rugby. But this year, they've started to make it a bit more of a publicised thing in an effort to make it more fan-centric, you know.
And also you can start punting.
Yeah, that's right. The Blues have made 10 changes to the team that beat Moana Pacifica. I would have argued that they should have made the changes last week and then brought everyone back in this week. They are saying that 5 of them are through injury. Do you believe that these 5 players are injured? And if this season was on the line, would those 5 players be playing, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I genuinely believe that they've got some niggles. They're probably, like you're right, they'd probably get a cortisone injection and play if it was playoff against Crusaders.
Talia in particular, because his is a rib injury.
Yeah. Look, who are they playing? The Rebels?
No, the Western Force, yeah.
Okay, and they had a win.
Yeah, the Force did, yeah.
They had a win last week. So
I reckon they would have had this one circled, the Blues, and said, right, we're parking 10 years. And then the Force sort of won last week, and they'd be like, are we still going to
park
everyone? They're like, all right, Rico, Ioane, and Caleb Clark, you guys stay.
You guys have to stay.
Yeah, you guys have to stay.
Yeah, and score all the tries.
Yeah, and then everyone else. Dalton Papali'i's back in.
But Tuipulotu's out.
Tuipulotu's out. So there's a lot going on for the Blues. There's a lot going on for a lot of the Super Rugby teams at the moment. That's why I love the year after a World Cup. There's so much like jiggery-pokery, players in, players out, players leaving. It's so much more exciting than, in my opinion, the year leading up to it because Super Rugby becomes a formality. And it's all about, what does it mean for the All Blacks? You know, we'd be naming our All Black team right now if this was a World Cup year. But because it's not, we can just focus on Super Rugby as a competition. Yeah,
because the first 2 games All Blacks got are against England in July. So down in Dunedin and Auckland. So I wouldn't be able to name the team, I don't think.
No, I don't think I could. I've seen other outlets who have.
Already?
Yeah, already. And whenever I see that and they're like, Ethan de Groot at number 1, it's like, how do you don't know.
That's his
against
past
who?
form.
Yeah, well, that's because he got picked last time. But it's like, okay, what are his features, advantages, and benefits over the second best number 1 prop in the game? You don't know. You can't tell me that.
All that is the rugby team of the round. You know how people name the rugby team of the round?
But what I'm saying is, how do you pick the best prop of the round? Could you?
The dark arts.
Yeah, but
no, I don't have a clue. I don't know what makes a good front row. I don't know the dark arts.
No one does. But the thing is, none of the punters, none of the pundits do either. Have a think about who's on the breakdown. It's John Kerwin. It's Goldie. They don't know the dark arts either. Mills, he don't know the dark arts. So it's like you ask them and they're like,
You need Angus Tarvell in there. That's why. That's where you need to get him off the field and get him into the into the pundits box.
Get him into his non-threatening glasses.
Yeah.
Get him behind the counter and just get his thoughts. On
get him a
what's going
smaller
on.
seat, so not Gulliver everyone.
Yeah.
He's a big because he's such a big unit.
He is enormous.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you see him by himself, you're just like, he's just a humble, non-threatening Pacific Islander. But he would be great to be able to tell us. Although, do we care? Because no, I don't think so either. You know,
I don't want to know. All I want to know is that they can scrum, they can throw locks in the air, and they can smash C's on their back.
Yeah, and they look impressive because they differentiate rugby union from other sports.
Yeah.
Like, check this guy out.
I like the modern day front rowers who absolutely smash dudes as well. Like Offa Tuangafasi. He was a while there where his nickname was Off of the Field because he just couldn't get low enough and he was absolutely peeling.
He was enormous.
He was hitting people kind of on the chest, but they were hitting them so hard that they would bounce up and then he'd clock them under the chin. And then be like, off of the field. And then here he goes. But I love it how they just sit people on their asses. It's good.
I was on a flight with Nepo Laulala, actually quite a few of the All Blacks back from Dunedin last year. And he like just about brought the flight to its knees when he stood up because he is so wide he had to turn sideways in the aisle. But even then he's still too wide.
So
No
you're
one
sitting
can
there
get past him.
sitting there just copping his chest and
Yeah. And he was sitting in the like aisle seat a few rows ahead of me. And every time the lady came up with the cart, it was just like, fuck. Excuse me. Then he's going to lean over this way, but there's also someone sitting next to him. So it's like, could we charter them a flight or something? I don't know. Mackenzie's back for the Chiefs as well.
Oh, thank Christ.
The Chiefs can't afford to lose. Well, I mean, everyone can afford to lose 2, but they wouldn't want to lose 2 in a row. They are playing Moana Pacifica, which is almost a scheduling win at this point.
Yeah.
But he kind of had to be rushed back in, didn't he?
Oh.
It was only the one game All Black rest. But why did they do it against the Crusaders and not against Moana Pacifica?
There's a lot of questions. I mean, I wouldn't be facing all of the allegations that I've been facing in this past kind of 5 days if he'd actually played.
Do you think part of it is that...
I'm blaming this on him.
Do you think the part of it is the Chiefs don't want to show their hand to the Crusaders?
Yeah, potentially. They might be burnt from last year because remember last year they beat them twice in pool play.
Yeah.
And then along comes the final and they lost.
So did they throw that last week? Is that what you said? Because you don't beat the you don't beat the Crusaders three times in a calendar year.
Correct.
So they've given themselves another win up the sleeve when it counts.
They're so much smarter than the other teams, the Chiefs, so much smarter.
They're really saying,
and they're using me as a scapegoat.
Yeah, the fall guy.
Yeah,
you're the interpreter.
Yeah, I am.
You're Shohei Ohtani's interpreter.
Correct.
On to some motor games. Apparently, the F1 Drive to Survive models being applied to the motorbikes now. Is that what's going on?
Liberty Media have bought MotoGP.
So are they the ones that made the documentary? No.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, they are.
Liberty Media are, yeah. They're the ones that made Drive to Survive. But they've bought MotoGP, which is the equivalent of, in terms of Formula 1, but on motorbikes.
Yeah.
They bought it for $4.5 billion. Well, they've taken like an 85% share for $4.5 billion.
Yeah. So they bought it.
Yeah, so they pretty much bought it. But it's very similar to Formula 1. I didn't know this because like, in Formula 1, like the group who owns, you don't own Formula 1, but you don't own any of the teams, the drivers, the employees. That's all looked after by the teams.
Yeah.
You just organise the travelling circus that goes around the world. Mm-hmm. So they're going to apply the same kind of model. No doubt there's going to be some sort of Netflix on. Yeah. And I must admit, dudes going 300 kilometres an hour with just a pair of leathers on and a helmet seems even more storylineable than Formula 1.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
And last year, 10 drivers won, I don't know, maybe 10 drivers won different races.
Oh, no, one, yeah.
Won different races. So it's a lot more, like it's not...
Yeah, right.
It's not as... Formula 1 can be a bit, one-dimensional in terms of a team has an advantage and the rest have to catch up.
Von Strapon has to be... Like, he has to hit an IED on the side of the road to lose at the moment. This is great because, like you said, I feel like those guys, they have a think about the mind of a guy who would ride that kind of motorbike. You have to drift them to get them around corners, I'm pretty sure.
They're pretty much, on their knees they're pretty much eating asphalt going around a corner at 120 kilometres an hour.
I would liken it to, if F1 is rugby union, this is rugby league.
Yeah.
So you're going to have some real meatheads on these motorbikes.
And they've got a massive following. In Europe, it's huge. They get hundreds of thousands of people coming along. It's just not big outside of Europe. But
F1 wasn't either until Drive to Survive.
Correct. So that's why they've seen this opportunity, Liberty Media. So basically, the top 4 countries that have the TV rights to MotoGP is Italy, Spain, France, and Germany. So they have 60% of the money comes in for TV rights from those 4 countries.
Yeah.
So they can see the potential to expand it. But also, with Formula 1, what they've done, Liberty Media, by turning it into a bit of a circus and making it a bit more show business and Drive to Survive, they've reduced the average age of the fan from 36 to 32 years old, which might not seem much, like 4 years.
No,
but
I'm 32.
You compare that to Major League Baseball. Guess what the average age is there of their fan?
It wouldn't be good.
57.
Jesus. I was going to say like 43.
NFL?
Oh, that'd be younger, like 32.
50.
What?
NBA?
25.
42. So you can see here the...
I don't know about that.
So this is what comes out of the States in terms of viewership.
Okay.
Obviously, they do it the same way we do here with a little box on one TV, and they say that's a million people.
Okay, but then what about all the people that watch on the streaming service? I'm sure they factored that in.
Yeah, here we go. So there you go. So look, I mean, if they can do the same for MotoGP.
Yeah.
And I remember for a while there, we were quite into it in New Zealand because I think we had a couple.
MotoGP?
Yeah, we had a couple of guys that were quite good. Oh, we had John Britton, but he was racing the superbikes.
He was racing his Dr. Zeus bike that he made.
And then there was the Aussie guy as well, who was quite good for a while. I don't know.
Do they still sell the Britain bike?
No way. It's in Te Papa.
Yeah, why? Well, I thought, wasn't that such a massive innovation, that thing? It was made almost exclusively out of pipes, and you banged on them with jandals and then...
But he died, though. I think he died. No, he died of cancer.
Oh.
But he died, I think with it died the whole Britain kind of dream. There's a museum down in Christchurch with all this stuff in it.
Yeah, I saw a mural recently somewhere. Where did I see that?
That'd be in Christchurch.
Oh, yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, and because he famously, they won that Daytona race and the guy did a wheelie passed over the finish line and passed another guy doing a wheelie. It was that much faster than the other bikes.
And then what happened? Why did that not take off?
I don't know.
Why do we produce guys like that where they just make something so much faster than everyone else?
Like McLaren.
Yeah. What's in the water down here? It shouldn't be.
I don't. Maybe it's just because we just think totally differently because we don't have the resources.
It's lack of resources.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I can get that jandal and I can stick it to that drain pipe, and then I can basically, cut that off.
Mickey Mouse's thing together. Yeah, because if you have access to resources, you just make like a faster version of the thing that exists.
And Burt Munro.
Yeah, Burt Munro.
Yeah.
I know. And like, why are we so good at sailing? Like all these different things.
I can understand sailing because we've probably got the most coastline out of any country in the world.
Oh yeah,
apart from Australia.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't really know. I only know only one of my mates sails. But to be fair, one of my mates does sail.
Yeah.
And went to the Olympics. So
okay,
so I do know sailors. Shout out to Aroni Leilua. Off to Paris later on this year. Whitewash Investigations has been getting into its work lane. And this is something I wasn't aware of in the AFL. And that's because I, like many New Zealanders, don't watch the AFL.
But you monitor the going-ons of Whitewash Investigations.
And Whitewash Investigations looks to have been doing the Lord's work over in the AFL. So as it stands, they have like a 2-tier drug system, is my understanding of this.
Yeah.
To where if you get caught with steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, you can face up to 4 years out of the sport.
Yeah.
And technically, some recreational drugs do fall under performance enhancing. So you go out, have a big weekend, you play on the Sunday, you test positive, you could be done for 4 years.
Yeah.
So they've instituted a secondary tier whereby you can voluntarily test, and if you test positive for recreational drugs, you'll be removed from the game so that you don't test positive on game day, thereby only missing 1 or 2 weeks as opposed to 4 years. Is that your understanding of how this works?
It's pretty much it. So it's a preemptive strike from Whitewash Investigations.
Yes. Finding
people that have been on the nose kai mainly.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many smoking weed and playing great AFL, but so they're basically a preemptive strike. They make up something like an injury. They're injured for a couple of weeks. They don't release that a player has been on the nose kai. They just say he's got a niggling injury, he's out for 2 weeks.
They say patient-doctor confidentiality, he's out for 2 weeks.
And they say for a chance for them to clean themselves up. And they learn a lesson and don't do it again. But for me, that says rampant recreational drug use.
Well, why this is coming to the headlines is because a story came out saying that there's as many as 100 players in that protocol right now. That's 5 players from every team who this week are being stood down.
I want to get over to the AFL. Let's go get it. That sounds like a wild time.
What is going on over there?
I know exactly what's going on.
It's out of control.
There's Ranfurly Shield activity going on left, right and centre. There is...
Mid-season Ranfurly Shield activity.
So there you go. Whitewash Investigations has been rumbled now because that stat's come out.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't have wanted that to come out.
No.
So they'll be scrambling Whitewash right now.
They're saying that basically players are taking the piss. Because I know fantasy is a big part of AFL over there, so God, you'd be livid. Imagine if you put a bet on. Now you find out that old mate's been hoovering up the nose kai in Melbourne.
Or do you use that to your advantage and just find out where the AFL guys are going out, get them all on the nose kai, and then just dump them all from your fantasy team.
Take the unders on Hawthorn.
Yeah.
And then ride that thing into the sunset. This is one of the wildest stories, and obviously this has been a big part of a big problem, big enough that they've had to introduce a 2-tiered drug system.
It's funny with AFL because obviously it's an native Australian sport, so they govern all the rules. They govern everything. So it's a funny wee one because they quite pride themselves on the fact that it's quite loose. Like the players, like the interviews with players are loose.
Yeah, they are.
I went to someone's house in Melbourne once, and they were a sponsor of the local AFL team, and they had a signed photo from all the team, and one of them just said, "Go fuck yourself, cunt," and signed it, and they thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was like, this is like a 60-year-old dude who spends hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that was the message that the players sent him and signed it. And he's like, classic, check it out.
Yeah, Aussies are good for that kind of thing. The leagueies are like that too. But you're sitting there with actually a brick of cocaine just over your right shoulder.
Right.
But I don't know. There's so much of it going around there. There has to be. It's ridiculous. I'd be so hard done by if I was just like, because the thing is, because they don't release it, every injury now becomes suspicious.
Oh, yeah.
So Damien McKenzie was on All Black leave last week, was he?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the Blues are resting 10 players this week, are they?
No one knows bags. Christie, Perifeta, Heem, and Talia.
Yeah.
No one knows bags.
No one knows bags. So if your team's coming up against Moana Pacifica, no disrespect to Moana Pacifica, but they are an easy beat team in Super Rugby.
At the moment.
That's your nose kai week. You come up against
Test the waters.
Yeah.
Test the wastewater. That's what I want to know. Go down to Hamilton and test the wastewater and see what's going on. Or maybe in Auckland it'll be a bit all over the place. But that we need the wastewater people to get onto it.
We need to find out a way to somehow dip our beaks into Whitewash Investigations, like from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
We are probably the worst people to get involved in their business because we'd trumpet everything.
We've exposed them though, so there'll be some stuff being like they're probably behind the whole Grim Lane thing. They're probably behind that.
Oh, Whitewash Investigations has launched a smear campaign against you.
Correct.
Is that what you reckon? Eh?
Yeah, that's what I'm backing.
All right, we'll see how that one develops. The IDP, they call it the illicit drugs policy. Keep an eye on this story because this is going to be absolutely hilarious as it develops. Time for one more break. We'll be right back. Speaking of the Grim Lane story,
Smear campaign.
Smear campaign. Someone sent in a bit of correspondence, and it reads, "G'day fellas and Grim Lane. Just listened to the recent episode of the Agenda Pod, and I thought I would attempt to help out with a Warriors home song. This is something we were talking about the other day. They need some sort of chant. We use a suspiciously similar chant for my university hockey club, but the Warriors song could go something like this, to the tune of Country Roads. Take me home, country roads, to the place I belong. Southeast Auckland, up the wires. Take me home, country roads." All the best, and overseas bandwagoner. Not bad.
Yes, not bad.
Couple of syllable issues.
The country roads, I think you could slip something else in there. Like a player's name or something.
Also, Southeast Auckland, I didn't even realise it was in Southeast Auckland, but I suppose, well, it's actually not really, is it? Anyway, that part I don't know.
Yeah, I think it needs to be even more simple, like ooh, up the wires, say ooh, up the wires. It's as simple as that.
And then have Razor as the halftime show.
Up the wires, say ooh,
up the wires. And then Razor comes in, gets his lunch cut by Richie Moanga, and then that's your halftime show.
He just kind of
outworms him.
Outworms him across the front. I mean, imagine if you got, it'd be the greatest crossover. All Blacks coach comes to the front of that. Is it the North stand there? Or was it the South stand?
I think it's the South.
The Cave Creek one.
Yeah,
and
Cave
just
Creek
goes
stand.
up there and then runs chants, ooh, up the wires. So ooh, up the wires. He does a backspin, does a couple of dolphin dives, and off he goes.
Oh, that would go absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when they, like last week, they substituted Tohu Harris off and he was just on the other side of the field, so he had to do a lap in front of the Cave Creek stand.
Yeah.
And the place went nuts.
Yeah.
It was the scaffolding was going to come down. Just the fact that he walked past there. And Razor would do it too, because at the Black Clash, he was going around doing it in front of the crowd there. Good for the sport. I like that idea. You're 90% of the way there. Hopefully that's triggered someone else to think of a song.
Yeah, and send it through. If you want to actually vocalise it for us.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, get through on the talkback on the little microphone next to on the iHeartRadio app.
One other thing I wanted to discuss with you, Lane, is I had a quick check of the text machine, because every now and then people text us in response to the podcast, which you can do, and I do check. But it loaded onto the 23rd of March for some reason.
Yeah.
And I had a quick flick through the texts. Mm-hmm. There was a commentary on, and I don't know what the text topic was, but it must have been a goodie, because let me read you some of the names. This was from the 23rd of March. Dalton Papa licked me. Yep. Joe Rockapoku. Finlay Risty. Finlay fist me. Mills Muliai Anal. Riley Horhepper. Anus Ta'aval and Falau fuck your father. What was going on?
Falau fuck your father and Finlay fist me is highlight. This stinks of James McConey.
It does, doesn't it?
It stinks of James McConey. It's got his stink all over it.
It stinks of a James McConey late kickoff.
Yeah, it does. It definitely. I actually, when you asked the question this morning and you said who was commentating the 23rd, went through the roster, funnily enough, James McConey and Matt Ward.
That must have been it. I don't remember what game that was.
I need to go and listen to that commentary. I didn't hear it, but if they actually said "Falau, fuck your father" on the commentary, that would be a world's first.
What? I still don't know what the text topic must have been.
It must have been something. I mean, when was Valentine's Day? Was it? No,
that's
it's not
February.
March, it's February.
It's
obviously a sexual theme, or something must have happened. Was there a sex tape or a sexual scandal?
Yeah, because we did religious figures over the weekend.
Yeah.
We got like Demon McKenzie.
Yeah, that was good. I think we carried that on Saturday.
Yeah.
They kept coming. It was
Delotana, all that kind of stuff. It was good stuff. This was, I just can't. Usually I can pick, they must have gone animal themed or Easter themed or blah, blah, blah.
I think this is like, it's obviously sex related, but I'm just wondering how they would go about that, because James McConey's a clever man. He would have worded it in a way where it wouldn't be just send me your best sex name.
No, he would have dog whistled it.
Yeah.
To where you knew exactly what he meant, but he never actually said it.
Yeah. But it's good. Finlay fist me, Mills Milliga anal.
That one's they went straight at that one. Joe Rockapoku. That's quite good. Anus Carver. And there's plenty more in there as well.
We'll take. Well, if there's any topics that you want us to launch, obviously we've got 2 games every week. This Friday we've got the
plus the Warriors.
Yeah, got the Wars this week as well. Well, we've got Blues on Friday night, I think, and then the Chiefs Minor on Saturday night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when are the Warriors this weekend? Are they on Sunday?
The Warriors are on Saturday.
Saturday at 5.
Yeah. I'm not rostered on any of those. That's why I don't know when they are.
Your time will come.
And just finally, mopping up some of the headlines of the day. The heckler from Happy Gilmore has passed away.
Oh.
Remember this guy, the jazz?
Yeah.
That guy. He was 82 years old. American actor Joe Flaherty has died following a brief illness. He was 82 years old. I think Happy Gilmore was a lot longer ago than I thought it was.
But he looked dangerously old in that movie.
Yeah, he did.
So
They did.
they must put some makeup on him.
And they apparently there's already been a script for Happy Gilmore 2.
Oh, that's good.
Have you seen this?
No, I've heard rumours.
Yeah.
But the best dressed at the ACC Open at Harewood was a team of Happy Gilmore. So it was Happy Gilmore,
Chubbs,
his caddy, and Chubbs. And Chubbs, he had a fake hand. They had the fake wooden hand. It was by far the best costume we've had in 3 years of the ACC Open. And it was funny when I was giving the award out at the end for the best dressed. They got $250 worth of Dulux paint each. I didn't even need to say their name. The crowd just started cheering and they came up. They gave it to them. Everyone else has put their hands down and go, they've got it. They've won this. And they got a standing ovation.
That is good, because I think in Auckland, the team that won best dressed, they were just in kilts.
Yes.
Which they'd look great.
Yeah.
But it was just a kilt. A dog won it in Wellington.
Yeah,
a
that's
dog
true.
in a Broncos jersey.
There's been some inconsistencies.
But those guys, they took out the overall place. So that'll do us for a Thursday edition of the Agenda podcast. We will be back tomorrow for a Friday. How good's a short week?
Oh, so good.
Thoroughly enjoying it. Hopefully you are at home as well. And we'll see you tomorrow for another episode of The Agenda.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.